Well, welcome to another Cafecito conversation, and I'm Richard S. Martinez, and I'm just excited to be here with Everette Brooks, and we have our coffee mugs from Azusa here, sipping our coffee this afternoon. And in our Cafecito conversation, we have the opportunity to talk to different people in our APU community, and we're just delighted that Everette is with us today. Everette is the executive director of the Military and Veteran Services Unit under our umbrella of the Division for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And so thank you, Everette, for joining me today to have a Cafecito conversation.
Most definitely. I'm glad to be here, adding to the fabric of our division being enveloped into the university's overall vision. So
there you go.
I'm happy to be here.
There you go. Well, so let's start with that. As you know, Everette, the past year we've really been focused on renewal. And the diversity strategic plans will be emerging this year, and all the recommendations for all of the working groups. So as you think about your military veteran services support for students, how might diversity be a central part of your work in that military services unit for students?
Yeah, Richard, thank you very much for the question. I think the first few things that come to mind for me is that the military connected veteran population here at APU is diverse within itself. We have Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard. We have male, female. We have officer. We have enlisted. We have people who have been in combat. We have people who have not been in combat. So there's a diverse population within our military connected veteran population. And that's also including people who have been overseas, not only in a combat situation, but also stationed in Belgium, Holland, Germany, Spain. So it's diverse within its own population.
Yes. So diversity is a central core tenet, if you will, of your service. And so we thank you for keeping that at the forefront of what you do. So as we think about diversity within your diverse body of students, that the military connected students you serve, how might you then, for example, in your role, explain to those faculty and staff members that are listening to our Cafecito right now and watching what they need to do or understand about your students? Because sometimes in past events that we've either co-facilitated or presented at APU, our military connected students say that there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect between how staff or faculty relate to them or understand them and the diversity they come from and the diversity of experiences. So how might we start to align that support a little more? What are some of the thoughts that come to mind for us to be more sensitive to the military connected population?
Well, we do have a VetNet Ally course in which we kind of explain some of the nuances, excuse me, of being a military connected student at this stage of their lives. Because if they're veterans, they've been in the service as in a career field and have come out and they're going to use this education to either change career fields or enhance their promotion and career projections. So those are some of the things we have there.
So VetNet Ally, just as you mentioned that, Everett, it says you're saying that that is a program, something that we can access to learn about military connected students?
Yes, it is, Dr. Martinez. And what we do is we have we can give a presentation and we compare it to the amount of time that's allotted for the session. An hour, hour and a half is really good. And I usually bring actual veteran students there so you can, or whoever can hear the student's perspective. Um, it's generalized, so it could be used at any school or location, but then it's specific enough to have the nuances of APU and maybe some of the challenges the students may have or experiences they've experienced here at APU. So that way we can tailor it and then identify and assess the question answer portion of it, and then go back and make some fixes because we're always looking to upgrade our service component, and maybe it just takes some encouragement from my office to a different department, and we can try to work out some strategy to enhance our service component to the students.
Okay. So the VetNet Ally outreach is a face-to-face orientation that you do, and that
Yes,
you're willing to go to any of our departments or schools to make that presentation.
that's correct.
Excellent. So, as you think about diversity at APU, we are also a Hispanic serving institution. And as part of being an HSI, um, that implies that we have a lot of support mechanisms in place specifically for students of color. So, as you think about your network and your military connected veteran students, how does that intersect in and with other programs? So in this case, how does your uh, Net Ally, your programs or your presentations or your different initiatives intersect with other parts of the APU um, programs like HSI?
Okay. So with that, once again, we have um, diversity within our diverse population. So our numbers are kind of mirror the demographics of APU with a high number of Hispanic students, Latino, Latinx. We're going to be more students of color coming in, utilizing their benefits. And that's pretty much how the landscape reads in Los Angeles County, which is the largest number of military connected students in the nation.
Mm.
So those attributes are something that we take into account, but also the dedicated resources necessary to deal with our population, similar to the offices that have a direct multicultural center that deals with the populations, the Latinx population, Asian Island Pacific,
Hmm.
African American. So that is the model that's out there for service to those um, peoples of color, students of color, and that's how uh, the approach that we're putting our veteran population in there so they can get direct services and advising, counseling. We're looking at retention rates. We're looking at graduation rates as well. And right now, per the university, I think veteran students are at about 88%, while the university is at about 80. And I think it's gonna take that dedicated, allocated resource assistance in order to keep those numbers up and moving higher. But when you
Hmm.
break that down, I think we do experience, some students of color who are graduating at a lower rate, um, when you break down the demographics. And that's what we are beginning to take a look at, not only dealing with the entire population, but breaking it down within the population to try to see if we can enhance and support some of the students of color within our ranks,
Okay.
and trying to deal with that.
Good, good. So I mentioned this a little earlier about the renewal strategic planning that APU has already initiated, and now will be looking at specific recommendations from working groups this year. So, with that context in mind, Everett, what do you think about specific recommendations that you would be looking for in our strategic planning applications? Those recommendations. Um, in the ideal setting, right? In the ideal setting for you and the support for your students, what would you like to see?
Well, there is, and the research shows that direct academic advising, maybe even a veteran specific
Mhm.
advisor, in the entry points of the university dedicated to veterans. That way they get the full story. They have the experience of having gone through the experiences themselves, so they can better assist the military connected students. I think that's critical because, it's just my experience and also transition out of the military. You know, on the way in, they kind of, really pump you up and let you know that you're wanted, needed, and as soon as you sign on,
Mhm.
that care, concern, it kind of drops off a little bit. And sometimes people feel if they don't have the right resources allocated to them, they can feel a little lost. And then with just moments of not being clear about something, could be the reason why a student does not continue or does not drop out because they feel like they've lost their support mechanism. And that happens in the military. That's why they always try to have the onboarding and the morale, welfare, and recreation department to kind of keep you engaged in the military. So
Okay.
I'd like to see that happen a little bit more, and that's what our office is trying to incorporate. Is we want to stay in connection with the student not only from inception but all the way through their educational journey. Excuse me, and then and into the career field to try to help them get jobs. And if we
Right.
continue with that lineage, I believe we'll have some, opportunities for alumni support, and we can also reach back and tutor and assist the incoming military connected students as well.
Yes, yes. So at the heart of what you're doing, Everett, and thank you for all you are doing on behalf of your military connected students. Um, the word keeps coming up in my mind, connected. We say military connected students. And all that you've been really outlining for us today over our little cafecito conversation here in my virtual coffee house, what you've been saying is about connectivity. What you're sharing is your dream, not only for connectivity, but your actual uh, programs that model connectivity for your students. So when we think about connectedness and we think about the future, and well, I'll do this. When we think about this year particularly and moving into the future, just tell us a little bit about the connected um, programs that model that connectedness that I know you facilitate and plan many different programs. So maybe give us a little bit of flavor, those that may not be um, as familiar with your work that are listening to this Cafecito conversation, just give us a flavor of how you are connecting the students to APU, but also how others can be involved in that connectedness through your programs.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dr. Martinez. I like the way uh, you put things together, so you make it very easy for me to transition into the next area.
There
So
you go.
I'm gonna give it to you straight.
All right.
Um, my plans are to, number one, anytime we have a traditional military connected event or activity, I want to get it to the school to expose not only the students to it, but our population here, because the more visible that people see that we have the support here and we have veterans here and we honor Veterans Day. We honor, we do something for Memorial Day. We have a veterans, lunch, and we're going to do a 9/11 event on September the 10th to show honor and just really let people know that we do have a military presence here, and we're going to continue to do that. We have ROTC cadets that are going into the military. So when you see people with uniforms around here every day, um, you'll know what they're here for and what their purpose is. And they're also pursuing degrees at the same time. So
Yes.
there's an opportunity for people to, look, listen, and learn from what they're seeing. They're going to be astute members in the classroom. Uh, they're going to bring a bevy of experiences, maybe even overseas or,
Hmm.
speaking different languages. We've had cadets spend time in Romania during their training. We've had, people live in, like I said, Holland, Belgium, Germany, Spain, the UK. We got some very interesting people here. So that connectedness is to show that the university does hold and hold near and dear to it. And we also have faculty and staff who were military members as well. So when they come out, they'll be able to talk to their colleagues and let them know, hey, I was in the Air Force, I was at this location, I did this, and I may have had a different job. I worked in the office with veterinary doctors, and I'm not doing anything near that now. So we have a wide range of things that we're capable of, military connected students, faculty, staff. So that connectedness, I mean, it keeps us, I'm still in contact with people from, in the 80s. And sorry to give my, old age away, but that were in the military with me, that are professionals now in a different field. However, we still, connect, just like our exterior, of Azusa, we have the recruiting stations, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard. We do events with them just so we can keep our ear to the ground to know, the next things that are happening in the military. They can come here, talk to our students, talk to us, but we want to maintain that connectedness attitude with the students while they're here and even when they leave and, go pursue their careers.
Yes, well, beautiful, Everett. We greatly appreciate all of your work, and for those military connected students that are listening, we thank you for your service. We thank you for being here at APU, and the value of your experiences. I'll talk to the students a moment. The value of your experiences that you bring to APU enriches our whole community. And so, Everett, thank you for featuring students as well as supporting students along the way. And
You know
yes,
what, Richard? I'd be remiss if I don't add on uh, the military dependents, the spouses, the wives,
there you go.
the children. Some of them, come to APU and they're receiving GI Bill benefits from their parents, or they're married to someone that is in the military or was in the military. That is such an integral part of family, and we want to continue to incorporate that as they transition through their educational journey and beyond. Um, we were just noted as a military friendly school for the
Mm,
U.S. Times and World Report, and also a
congratulations.
military friendly school for spouses.
Good,
So
good.
that says a lot about what we're capable of in catering to our military connected population. So we don't just say veterans, but also dependents, and which are children or spouses of military members. So
Uh,
we try to deal with the family aspect, because one person doesn't go through an experience. If they have family members, they all go through it. So thank you for letting me share that.
well, definitely, Everett, and it truly is a community. I know that within military veteran students and their network, there's a family of service. You know, those who have served, they're within that brotherhood sisterhood family, but then they're their families, and then now they're part of our APU family, and you're modeling once again the connectedness and value that you show to the the military connected students here at APU. So, Everett, as executive director, as we conclude our brief coffee time together, once again in our Cafecito virtual coffee house, is there anything you'd like to add that we didn't cover in terms of um, your services, the strategic plan, diversity, um, anything else you'd like to highlight?
Well, if I could really put my finger on something, and I've been involved with athletic programs, my whole life, being in the military, and then being involved with military connected students and students. I had a club sport program with 1,200 student athletes before, so
Hmm,
I get it. But the one thing I would like to say is the support from the school to come out and look at events and activities. So when the students look up, they see that the school is behind them 100%. They see that people come out, they still um, they still honor their service, um, and I think that's a critical component. And through word of mouth, that keeps the pipeline of
yeah,
quality students coming to the school when they see how the family aspect and how familiar the school is with their events and activities, and the way they get honored at graduations,
hmm,
etc. So it's a good way to keep the pipeline coming in, and word of mouth is a big
yeah.
way of getting continued student support at the university. So come out, look at the events, shake a veteran or military connected student's hand, and I tell you what, if you give them 20 seconds of your time, you'll have a story, because we're all storytellers.
There you
You'll
go.
have a story on your hand.
Well, thank you for making the stories come alive, and thank you for nurturing lives. And I know that in the time that we've known each other, I see you do that all the time, every day of the week. And so I greatly value you, Everett, and the work you're doing for military connected veteran students here. And thank you for the time over our Cafecito conversation. And may this not be the last time we have an opportunity to talk. And thank you for those of you who have joined us today in our Cafecito conversation. And God bless you, Everett, and God bless those who joined us today.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
Thank you.
Take care.